Yeah. No, I can't. I can't hear you, Jordan. Have you streamed? What? Okay, we're very sorry for the technical difficulty, because Jordan is noob. Jordan being dumb. No, wait. You're not streaming. I can't see your webcam. Yeah. Let me refresh my screen as well. Yeah, you're not there. Okay.
There we go. It's always these little things that happen before a podcast.
See, you keep reminding other people and then you do it.
I know.
yourself.
I'm basically an example of what not to do. But yes, let's not delay things any further. Welcome, guys, to the Drawing Table Podcast, where we have chill and casual conversations and about art and, of course, creating it as well. I am one of your hosts, Jordan Tuffin.
And I am Kendar Madi, and today we have a special guest.
Yes.
But before we introduce the guest, we should talk about some updates on ourselves, Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
What's been happening for you?
Well, on my personal end, I wouldn't say there's too much that has been going on. A lot of my days are the same, going in and day out. But I have been working on a cool personal project recently. And what I mean by cool is that it's a project that that is spanning more than just one concept. So I'm thinking about making a bigger personal project out of it. So I've been working hard on that, and yeah, really excited to show you guys one day on the podcast. But yes, that's all the updates I would say from me. And I'm sure that you have a lot more that you want to maybe get off your chest, Ken.
Actually, I don't think it's appropriate for the stream.
I
It's
see.
kind of personal. We
I
can
see.
maybe one day when
All right, fair
when
enough.
I'm more ready to talk about
Yes,
it. But
and so we don't start the podcast on a more
otherwise-
somber note.
yeah,
But yes.
In any case, other than that, there's not much else.
Mm-hmm.
Just been quite busy with work as usual, with freelance, and yeah, that's it.
Mhm.
So yeah, let's continue on with introducing our guest.
Yes, without further ado. So, if you are a connoisseur of traditional or line work artists, then the name Sheng Lam, or better known by his username 8-Bit Wizard, is sure to be a familiar one. He is probably best known for his sketches of hard surface sci-fi designs, which are bold, unique, and often quirky design and shape languages. He is currently providing his talents at Cloud Imperium Games, helping shape the world of Star Citizen. And we are so excited to have him on the podcast today, as he will be taking us through the process of how he comes up with those very same design ideas, from finding his inspirations to how he utilizes them to generate ideas and designs that stand out. So we would like to welcome Sheng Lam onto the podcast.
Alright, let me switch the scene.
Yes.
Oh, am I supposed to say something?
There we go.
Yeah, there
Oh
we go.
shit, it's
Yes,
live.
you're
Oh no,
now
Now you
shit.
can say something.
Please don't. Yeah,
Now you're out of the closet. Ken.
Yeah.
I mean,
that was a very
Shit.
corny introduction.
we gotta do
Yeah.
it, man. We gotta like hype up our guests. So
I died a little bit
It looks
inside.
like we're a lot more credible than we actually are. You know, knowing all of these top people in the industry and whatnot.
Nah, just no.
Yeah.
But we've been very excited to have you on the podcast, man. And I think this is something that we've even been chatting about for a while now, even during the early stages of the podcast.
Yeah.
Mhm.
definitely.
Yeah, Jordan and I have been talking about having you on the podcast to just talk about design and show us what your
Nah,
process is.
glad to be here.
And
You know,
it's
hang out, chill, talk shit, do whatever.
yeah,
How are you feeling?
mostly
though,
talk
man?
shit.
Well,
Yeah, well, that's how most of these chat sessions tend to go, anyways. So, how are you doing, by the way, Sheng?
well, nervous as fuck, obviously. Insanely high pressure environment. Like 20 people watching me draw.
Yeah, you can't make
Oh my
mistakes
God.
here.
Oh, gonna fuck up. But yeah, no, I'm pretty excited. Should be fun. As you said, like
Yeah, man.
we've been talking about it for a long time, so now we have the opportunity to do it.
Yeah, we really appreciate having you on. And just to give you guys a little bit of context or history between Sheng and I actually first saw his works a couple years back when I was still living in Indonesia. And what initially made me what caught my eye about his pieces was that back then in his portfolio, which I think he removed now, he did some redesign of Advance Wars vehicles. So that's an old Game Boy Advance and Nintendo DS game from way back then. I don't know how many of you guys in the chat are familiar with that, but that was the first time that the name Sheng Lam popped up to me.
don't-
I was like, oh, this guy's pretty cool stuff. Gonna give him a follow.
Yeah, we don't talk about that. That project is dead. It's so it already died.
But I think that's the early signs of, I think, or at least the early stages of your art identity, because at that point, correct me if I'm wrong, Sheng, but you were also doing your daily sketches at one point, right?
Yeah, that was the period where I did the like one sketch a day, and then you upload it on social media.
Yeah, I mean that it was so crazy just to see you consistently churning out these designs day in and day out, you know. And of course, with each and every design, you managed to just surprise me with all of the fresh inspirations that you managed to draw inspiration from, and all of the cool designs and shape languages that you managed to generate from it. So a couple of them, actually I saved a few of them, Ken, onto the folder, so if you can maybe flash them on the screen quickly if you can. But for example, what Sheng would do is that he would design medieval architecture at one point, but he would take inspiration and the layout from Korean characters, and that would instantly make a familiar design much more fresh.
Yeah, I think that series where you take Korean characters into like architectures and stuff, that was when I start to notice your unique take on finding ideas.
Senpai noticed me.
I thought that was really interesting.
Senpai finally noticed me.
So
Oh, it's
Yes.
dude, way back then.
Yeah.
way
So,
back
how
in
t-
FGD.
So how this could transition into something that you could maybe talk a little bit more about is what made you want to take up that 365-day sketch a day challenge in the first place?
I think it was just having some sort of how do you call it? Like some sort of platform or pressure where they hold you responsible to do something. Because I've seen a lot of people at some point there was this hype where at the beginning of the year they would be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this 365 challenge, and then they do it for a week or a month, and they, for whatever personal reasons, they have to stop. It's the same with like Inktober and all those challenges. So then, yeah, I was starting out as well, and I just decided to do it. And yeah, in a way, when people say that they don't have time, it's not really true, because you can always make time, even if it was just like half an hour, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. You could always make time to do something. And yeah, I'm also very surprised that I pulled through, but it was very, very interesting journey, I'd say.
So at the start, you actually didn't expect to do the whole 365 days?
Not really. It was more a case of, all right, every day I need to do something. I'm not worrying about like reaching the 365 days. It's more like I just do it once a day, one thing at a day, and then it kind of just stacked and it became a habit.
I see. So there was a point.
Let me share the Chinese character or Korean
Yes.
character.
But be careful when if you're gonna switch screens, Ken, because Sheng might be muted.
I'll just I'll just show it real quick.
Yes.
and
So
then
these
go
are
back.
some of the examples of Sheng's sketch a day sketches. And these are definitely some of my favorite ones. And when I first looked at it, it was like, oh, it's such a simple idea, but it works so damn well.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Because you see a lot of these like capsule shape spaceships, but not very many of them do you see with as many negative shapes.
Right.
So yeah, man. So what actually inspired you to choose some of these as your inspirations instead of something a bit more typical, perhaps such as nature or something like that?
Good question. I don't know. I think it just came randomly a day where we just looking at Chinese characters, and like through the challenge, there was always the issue like, okay, what do I do? What do I draw today? I really don't know, and a lot of times you're just trying to find something interesting to base or to generate ideas. So I think on that day I was just looking at Chinese characters, and I just saw them as like I started looking at them as a layout more or less for certain parts and structure, and then I just tried it out. So, but then obviously first, I guess 1 to 5 times it doesn't work really, but I still like the idea of it. I thought it was something very unique and something that I really haven't seen before. And then through a couple of tries, it slowly became more consistent and more to a point where I really liked it.
I see. So when you're
Did you
experimenting,
have to
sorry,
keep?
go on, Ken.
Did you have to keep looking at references of, for example, mechanical parts when you draw into one of the shapes inspired by the Chinese
Yes.
characters or Korean characters?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
you just have it on screen somewhere.
yeah.
on
So I had like the character and then like mechanical reference next to it, and then you you break it down. You try to distance yourself from the word itself. You just see the strokes, and then you interpret like longer strokes as plating or like a wing or whatever. And usually when like strokes connect, that was where I decided, okay, that's where the most of the detail is gonna be, like where joints are and all that kind of stuff. So in a way, if you break it down, you figure stuff slowly out. It's not like, oh, I see a letter and bam, instantly I know what to do. Yeah.
I see.
Mm.
So
think
there's
we
always a
can-
phase of exploration then.
I think that's probably like 80% of it. It's just very, very ugly stuff that doesn't work, and you try it out, doesn't work, and then because it doesn't work, you can just move on. But at least you tried it out.
Right.
Yeah.
I think, and that's what we're gonna do for this episode. Actually, Sheng's gonna show us how he approaches this kind of process, and with this episode, we're gonna do something special where we invite you all on the chat to join in with us as we try to brainstorm ideas for Sheng to try to sketch.
Yeah. So it's gonna be something
Is
a
that
little bit
correct?
more interactive.
Yeah. So, do we want to go straight to the demo then? Not
Yes,
demo,
I think
guess.
I think it'll be a
Screen
good
share.
transition point for Sheng to get into his demo.
So I should share screens
Since
now.
we are
right?
talking
You
right
would
now
like to
about
share?
inspiration.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you guys see?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
All right. Well,
So, how would this work, Sheng?
so essentially, I have a bunch of random reference here that I saved online whenever I browse Tumblr or Pinterest or whatever it is. And if I find something very, very cool that strikes me, I just save it. I'm generally very picky with images, but again, as long as anything is interesting, it's fine. So my idea for it was that I'm just gonna go through these images and then talk about what I extract, what I find interesting, how to apply it, how to use certain details to like an idea. So it's all about idea generation, I think.
Yeah, man.
So yeah.
When I see all these inspirations that you've gathered together, I just find it, I'll be honest, I find it a little bit difficult to see what you find in them as well.
Yeah.
So it'll be really cool for you to talk us through your thought process and how that could translate into a finished design.
Oh yeah.
Or an inspiration for a finished design.
So first,
I think it's interesting that each of us has a different way of finding references and what we see in those references. So it would be really awesome to know what you see in each of these image that is
What?
special other than that.
what just
cat.
happened?
I don't know.
And of course, if anyone in the chat has questions relevant to the conversation or the topic of the conversation, whatever it may be at the time, then please drop it in the chat and we'll do our best to get to it.
Yeah. So this is me crying right now,
Right.
falling under pressure. Everyone just watching me. But yeah, I mean, we can just start talking about random stuff.
Yes.
So
Yes, let's do that.
for example, one thing I really like to do is just look up stuff that's very, very like not related to the theme that you want to draw and just trying to convert it to something different. So we have this mechanical part, which I think it was from like electrical wires. It's like some sort of stuff where you put the cables in here. But then rather than using that for this specific purpose, I like the layout and the shape. So one way that I see or what I see in it is, let's say this could be like a joint shoulder part of a mech or a vehicle.
I see.
So because it's very evident. So you have like maybe like a cylinder, which is this part here, cylinder part, and then you have like this part here above on top of it. So then now you already know like it's gonna move this way, and then it can move like the other way around like this. And for example, this upper part, which is a big shape contrast to the round parts, could be used, for example, as a, I don't know, could be like a shield plating, for example, on the back. So then instantly you change the size, you change the layout, you change certain details, but essentially you draw inspiration from it. So based on that, you can just keep building, and then maybe
Interesting.
maybe like you attach the arm thing here, you know, and you keep building on it. So that's one way to do it. For example, how I would use this reference. Another way that you can use is, let's say maybe it's a layout for some sort of architectural structure. So for example,
Now you're speaking my
yeah,
language.
so for example, these, you literally just copy it, see what comes out of it, because it's better to just start somewhere and you can always tweak it later. So you have this part here. Maybe this is like a Colosseum, you know? I mean, it's probably the shittiest Colosseum you'll ever see. But, and then you have,
It's like a Beyblade
Fuck yeah.
stadium.
What is this? A coliseum for
with a
ants?
Beyblade. So maybe like this second structure here could be where all the viewers are, you know? So they could sit up here and then they could like watch down here, and then you have,
Those screws kind of look like giant Beyblades already.
it could be, yeah. And then this part at the back, it could be like the, wow, this is like probably the scale is totally off, but you kind of get the idea. So like this part here is could be some sort of overhang. Again, this is probably the worst drawing, but essentially is that. Another way, for example, is could be, let's see. Oh, what's happening? All right. So maybe this is like an onsen bath where they do this just chilling here, and then this structure at the back is like where the water comes in, and you have
Very cool.
I don't know, again another type of shed.
So in a way, you're playing around with different scales as well. Like you're reading it at different scales.
Yeah. So you can
I see.
you can essentially just try to identify what's important in the reference, and you just play with it with scale and proportions. In this specific case, it's just this very round piece and like a strong rectangular plate on the side. Once you identify those, you can always change the proportions and make it something look more interesting. So
So if
Go on.
say if the topic that you're tasked with is maybe like speaking about onsen, maybe it's like a Japanese housing complex or whatever, then you take this image that's completely unrelated and then you try to think of shapes that could be used for that could be used in that particular topic that you're tasked with, in terms of abstractly.
In a way, it's very abstract, but you pretty much said it. It's just trying to figure out how to combine them together. Usually I found that more fun and more challenging rather than approaching it from a very linear way where, okay, I have to build an onsen, it needs to have a certain structure already because that's in your mind. So in general, it's kind of how, like, I do think if you want to generate really more interesting ideas, anything that comes first to your mind, like let's say the first 2-3 things, is already from stuff that you've seen before somewhere in pop culture or whatever. So if you try to disregard the first 2 to 3 drafts that you have, once you hit the wall, then you know, like, all right, now it's slowly getting really challenging, and now we're getting somewhere interesting. If that makes sense.
That's really interesting way of thinking about it, and I think that's something that I also learned from the studio that we worked in, Ken, under our art director Francis. He's saying that you should get all of those bad ideas out first. Just lay them out, and when you start to hit, like you said, Sheng, hit a wall, or maybe you start to find that you've exhausted all of those common ideas, that's when usually you can begin to push the boundaries because you've already hit that boundary itself.
Yeah, but in a way you have to fail first, and you have to just hit the wall. You have to get it out of your system, because really nothing, or I don't know, there seems to be like some sort of high expectation where when you start out you already have this like mega grand final piece in your head. Like before you even do anything, it's the image in your head is already perfect, has everything from balance, color, composition, it's already done. But then you will start working on it, and let's say an hour passes by and it looks nothing to, like, literally nothing close to what you had in mind, and then you start to get really discouraged. And I think that's because you have like really high expectations out of nowhere.
Did you always have this mindset, Sheng, of embracing failure?
Oh fuck no.
Because I feel like this kind of mindset is actually what I would say is the mark of a mature artist.
No. I think everyone has it. I still struggle with it. Up to this day, it's just something that I have to remind myself all the time. But yeah, I think it's easier to get lost or get frustrated when you're starting out. But yeah, I don't know. It's something I had to constantly train myself to do. And yeah.
No,
go on.
Slightly out of topic. I think what you're drawing needs to be blurred.
What are you saying, Ken?
I don't know.
What? Big brain? What?
Anyway.
Just look like a condom that's a little bit too small.
Well, I mean, in this case, I know it looks like a condom. Maybe it's like an arm condom to protect you from, I don't know, vicious alien creatures.
I see. From Alien AIDS.
Yeah, alien AIDS. Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, this is one way to extract like specifically this reference, because you see how like there's a very strong bold color of orange that kind of covers the shoe. So you can translate it to anything.
The dark object.
So you can add it to like, let's say, a mech armor or something to just add more interest. You can apply it to a prop. Maybe like it's your generic crate box, but 70% of it is just covered in like this orange to protect it from alien AIDS, and because it's very delicate, you know. And yeah, that's kind of how you use, or that's kind of what works for me when I use reference. It's just a lot of non-related stuff to what you actually draw. So like a shoe is not really related to a hard surface military box, for example. But then if you add it, then I think if you combine it together, it makes it more interesting. Obviously, a lot of stuff just doesn't work the first time, second or third time. You have to try out. You have to fail and try a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah.
There's also a few comments in the chat that I like to read out. This one was when you were talking about the sketch a day, and Xylin said, "Hey, nice! I just finished my own 365-day challenge yesterday, so congrats on that." And Blessings of the Nine says, in regards to your process, Sheng, it's like high IQ Lego.
I mean, yeah, thank you. I have big brain now. Twitch confirmed big brain, Sheng.
And also, Lime Cola said really cool technique, and Illusion says good.
Big man, big brain.
So I think so I think people are really enjoying you showing your big brain to us, Sheng.
Oh shit.
We really appreciate it.
No worries. You can pay my PayPal. I can make my PayPal transaction later. Yeah.
Sounds good, man. But that's something that we told you not to mention on the stream.
Oh shit,
so,
I forgot. Well, never mind.
Yeah. Let's keep that on the down low, shall we?
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, as you can see, this is like super rough stuff. It's super ugly. And I think this is an important part of the process that doesn't really get shown. Because you go on ArtStation, you go on like, or whatever piece you think is super interesting and amazing. There's a lot behind the scenes that you just don't see. And a lot of it is super ugly. And I also feel like because of, let's say, the popularity of really like pretty images. Okay, let me rephrase it. In general, like nicely rendered stuff and pretty images are gonna be way more popular. So if you go on ArtStation, a lot of stuff is very, very, very well rendered, artistically, very impressive stuff. And I have a feeling for people who start out, it's very easy for them to think that that's kind of concept art.
Yeah.
And they fall into the trap that they think that, okay, concept art is all about this insanely rendered big titty women with big asses.
It isn't?
Oh shit, sorry. It is.
Oh shoot.
What? Yeah.
Is that what you draw in?
Yes, I do. Actually, so let's say you have a...
Big titty.
What happens is like, okay, I have a crate, right? A military crate. And it's just because it's hard surface, it's not interesting, right? So in order to pitch it to the art director, what I like to do is just add two big tits in front of it. And then it just gets sold. Instantly sold. So that's how you do it. That's how you sell.
That's the secret.
That's the big secret.
That's how you get to work at CIG.
Pretty much.
Yeah, you've heard it here first, folks. If you want to get into CIG,
just draw tits to you.
Be sure to put big. Yeah, pretty much.
But then, don't draw penises.
Star titizen.
So with since you're talking about a lot of the art or the image in ArtStation that people really like are mostly the ones that are well rendered. how often do you have to render stuff to the finish in your day-to-day work? Do you, since a lot of your work are more line art based, is that still allowed, or how does that work in terms of the balance that you have to do between like full render and just
So my case is a little bit more, I guess, standalone, where when I applied, I got told that I need to do 3D and I need to, do very realistic stuff because Star Citizen is sci-fi realism. And then I passed the art test. I did learn the software requirements like 3D and all of that. But then once I came to the studio, I guess you can call it stubborn. I kept doing line drawings whenever I could, and it ended up happening that people really liked it and enjoyed it. And ever since then, it's
the people in
yeah
the
for like
studio?
environment artists who have to build it, for example, they really enjoy it because it's very clean, is what they say, and then I don't know, they like it. It's good to see. So I would say right now half of it is hardcore line work, another half of it is more 3D, more photo bashy, if you want to call it that way.
Yeah, because a lot of the other artists that work on Star Citizen that I see, they're mostly doing like really realistic photo bash, 3D render stuff,
That's
and
great.
you're like pretty much the only one that's doing line art with basic color blocking.
Yeah, I think it's more like I just stayed really true to what I like, and I know I'm better at it than, for example, realistic photo bash or something. And then I just pushed through it, and now it seems like people really like it. So
Did you get a lot of pushback at it in the studio though?
not really.
Like maybe you just sent off a round of sketches and they said, "What the hell is this?
Not really.
Go back and do it in 3D."
I think it's mostly because my art director also has like a industrial design background, so he kind of knows how it is and he appreciates it. The only issue is like, obviously some people react better to highly rendered cinematic stuff than, let's say, tri-line work. So sometimes, let's say I pitch some line work props, but it might get rejected just because it's not very well pretty rendered, and the higher ups don't like it.
I see.
But now the other issue is that obviously, even though I do 2D mostly, it's kind of like there's good parts and bad parts about it. Because in 2D, for example, if I need to do a certain prop or a building, I can do it super nicely, super well drawn in that specific angle, but it doesn't really explain anything in the context of the game when you're actually in point of view and third person or first person. So that's kind of the limit, I guess. Whereas if you actually did it in 3D, then you can rotate it at every camera angle, and then you can look at it from different perspectives. And also, if you have a 3D file, it's easier to change, I'd say. Change bigger forms or whatever rather than 2D, because cleaning up 2D and line work is it's just tedious.
I see.
Right.
So at any point did you think to yourself, you know what, maybe I should specialize more in 3D?
No, because that's just me. Like, just at the end of the day, I still like to draw the most, so I just want to keep it that way.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, there's always good and bad things. There's nothing really the best way to work. At the end of the day, just do what you really like and just trust your own workflow. But that's...
Would you also say that's also an advantage of you working at CIG though? Because I feel like if you were in a certain company and you tried to impose what you like onto what they normally do, there might be pushback, or them actually going to the extreme of maybe even finding someone to replace you because you're not following what's required.
For sure, yeah. When I said like just do your own thing, it's mostly applied to personal work. In a professional work environment, I'd say it's more about compromises and trying to adapt. Obviously, if they want you to do something with a certain software requirement, then yeah, you have to do it. You have to learn how to adapt. But at the end of the day, you still get something out of it. Like if you find like a workflow, let's say a 3D workflow that really works well
Yeah.
and helps you out in your own personal workflow, I think it's still worth it.
Just to quickly read out some comments in the chat as well. So Fitz Factor says, yeah, it's weird that concept is being pushed to use 3D when the 3D we use isn't even usable. It still has to end up being built.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, again, I think it's just mostly depends what your company wants, what you want, and then what the requirements are. Because certain tasks are easier to do in 3D than in 2D.
Definitely.
So yeah, again, there's no black or white.
Definitely, man.
So, how does your process differ from your professional work to your personal work? Do you do anything differently for your personal
less
work?
revisions.
For example, do you try to be more?
Well, aside from that, like in terms of the actual process itself.
Yeah, I mean, do you try to experiment a bit more with your workflow?
I think so. It's also in a professional environment, you need to like keep working. If I'm doing my personal stuff, I don't really have a deadline. So usually I'm just very, very lazy or take my time with it. But in terms of workflow, I think as well, I tend to use less 3D or just try to push less 3D and go more 2D. Whereas in professional stuff, it's more... Yeah, I think because of what I need to do. There's more stuff in 3D.
So maybe to tie it back to what you're currently doing, Sheng, would you do something like this while you're in the studio?
No.
Why not?
You mean like drawing and extracting
not
shapes?
Drawing, but in terms of just going on Tumblr or whatever, finding random images and then applying it to your brief. Maybe your brief is like design a sci-fi crate, but then you go on Tumblr and find all of these random images.
Yes, but I don't go as deep as if it was, for example, for personal work, because you don't want to waste 3 hours in the studio just looking up reference. You can do it in your own personal time, but if it's in the studio,
what would you do differently then at your work, but also coming up with these new design and shape ideas?
You mean for in the studio work?
Yes. How would this stage of your process differ when you're in the studio?
The initial brainstorming, trying to come up with unique shapes.
Sometimes I just go straight in 3D and start blocking stuff out rather than 2D. Especially when I know that it's gonna have to be in 3D, like the final product. Might as well just start in 3D. But then what happens a lot of times is where at some point you get stuck, because designing and building stuff in 3D, I find it very difficult, like at the same time.
I agree, man.
So I get to a point where I'm stuck in 3D and then choose a good angle, make a screenshot, and then just do like very shitty overpaints in Photoshop, and then bring it back to 3D. Because it's trying to break stuff down. That makes sense. So that's one example.
Totally. I think it's important. Like when you're stuck at your 3D phase, you just take a screenshot, bring it to Photoshop, because I think for a lot of us, we think better designs in 2D as we try to paint over or sketch on top of it, and then once we clear up a lot more of what we want to do with the model, and then we can bring it back and then continue modeling.
It's about like breaking stuff down.
So what's your thought process right now for what you're doing?
So I found this really weird image in the internet. I don't know if it's real or if it's a sculpture.
I think that's
I thought
real.
it's super weird, but then essentially I do like how they have these red long like I don't know what it is, but I assume it's a symbolic representation for a tongue or something. So
Yeah.
I really don't know. So I thought it could be a very interesting character design. You can have it hang from their nose as a piercing, or maybe from the ears, and
Yeah.
just seeing what happens. Like this stage is just
Right.
exploring.
Yeah.
This
sorry,
stage
go
is
ahead.
just doing shitty line work without worrying about the end product. It's just to see what works or not. It's like a low investment type of thing.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to know how you get to these images that are unrelated to what you're trying to do.
Yeah. That's actually a
So,
good question.
Yeah, I mean, if say for your personal work you try to dig deeper into Pinterest
Yeah.
or whatever, what do you just start searching with for finding
So one
inspiration?
way is, you know how your Pinterest board gets personalized? Sometimes I find sometimes something random comes up where I'm like, all right, yeah, this looks like really, really interesting. And then you just start digging deep. Once you find out what it's specifically, then you can start Googling, you can start Tumblring it. There's a lot of like different ways on how to do it.
I see.
But yeah, in general,
Sounds like it can be time-consuming process too, though.
I like, well,
Yeah.
let's say at work when I'm taking a break, I browse Pinterest or Tumblr for like 5 to 10 minutes. And if I find something that's really
Yeah.
interesting, then I just save it. But then it's not like I save every single image. It's
I see.
stuff that sparks conversation in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I see. So do you just have a folder of inspirations like this saved in your personal
yeah.
computer?
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Along with other folders.
Hey, yeah. I need my tentacle hentai stuff. You know, one tentacle a day keeps the doctor away.
It's more than the doctor. You're just keeping.
Oh
away.
shit! Really? Damn.
So this is one burning question that I have in my mind, not relating to what you just said, but for me, when you're talking about hard surface, more technical designs, one thing I find very difficult to balance is actually functionality versus the rule of cool.
Right.
So I wonder what your personal philosophy is when it comes to that.
Yeah, that's a big discussion for a lot of people. My personal take on it is I'm generally more keen towards form rather than function. I think that if you have, like, let's say if you have something ultra functional, if you look at real world stuff, it looks boring because it's already there, so there's nothing really new, right? But then if you have something that's form-wise super interesting to see and look at, then your brain or your mind starts to engage in conversation. Whereas it doesn't have to be as like functional, but obviously you need some sort of like degree of believability. You can't just do something super random. But I don't know, I think as long as you spark enough conversation with other departments of the team, or with, like, as long as other people get inspired, then I think that's the most important thing. And I think it's easier to get inspired by forms rather than,
I guess it's more emotive, right?
yeah, I guess, yeah, in a way, yes.
So what role do you think functionality plays in a design? Because I do think there is a certain point where a lack in functionality can break the believability of the design and making it easier to dismiss. And I think one example is that, for example, in fantasy, when we see a warrior that is a female character and she's only wearing bikini clad armor, then it becomes very difficult to believe her role as maybe a tank for the party.
Yeah, but it's not like you see war conflict with women or men in bikini, right?
Definitely. But I think that's an example of where pure form breaks function and believability.
Yes.
So I wonder for you, at what point do you believe that too much form or focus on the form can break that believability?
At what point? Man, that's our question.
I guess we can try to bring it to the sketch that you're doing, for example. Like that wire that overhangs
This
the
thing.
shoulder.
Yeah. So this thing is probably not functional at all. It's probably gonna be in the way if the character or the robot wants to move on. But then I like it. That's that. It doesn't have more reason to it. It's just I really like the form, the negative shape it creates. If you want to integrate it properly to a design or to a theme, then I would need to spend more time on it, need to spend more research on how to actually, again, use it properly. But for initial idea generation, I think if it's visually stimulating, then you can come up with excuses to kind of verify and validate it later on.
I see. So would you say it's just a process of the design where at the start maybe form should dictate the let me repeat that, should dictate the conversation, whereas as the design gets a little bit more resolved and perhaps for a game or to be modeled in a game, that's when you could maybe introduce more functional elements?
Yeah, I think so. Because I think
What happens if you can't find a reason to include that piece that looks cool?
Well, then you have two choices.
Keep it.
You either do it or you don't.
So you just commit.
Most of the time I commit. Like if it's super weird and interesting, like I'd rather look at something really, really weird than not.
I see. I think it's similar to that saying that it's kind of like I'd rather be hated than forgotten.
Yeah, but it's also like regardless of what you do, there's always gonna be naysayers. Like, oh, it's not functional enough, it's not interesting enough. So you can't really please anyone or everyone.
Yeah.
If
So did you get a lot of that pushback?
Especially Jordan.
No, nothing.
Sorry.
No, I was just saying, so on that topic, did you have a lot of people criticizing your work or maybe pushing back on what you were doing?
for my personal stuff. So far for my personal stuff, most of the things that I heard is like it doesn't really work. It's not functional enough. It's that's kind of it. But most of the stuff, it's generally very positive. But in my head, I like to think that however good a piece is doing, more than half of it, it's unseen and people actually don't like it.
Maybe it's like this silent group of people that don't like it but don't feel a need to comment.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just don't bother commentating negative stuff, which is fine.
Definitely.
Because it's the same. Like, let's say I browse ArtStation or I look at other people's work. There's a lot of times where I just don't like something, but I just don't say anything and just move on. So I'm sure a lot of people do it as well.
For me, dude, I always have to leave a scathing comment and share it on my social media. It's like, can you believe this artist? This design is lacking this.
Follow for follow. Well,
Yeah, follow for follow. Share, like, and comment if you agree.
Follow for follow, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that's what everyone does, man. But I guess you're different.
No, I actually pay people. Like I pay my followers. I got my good friends at Russia. They just, they do it.
You probably got some good connections in China as well.
Yeah, I'm actually follow botting or whatever that's called.
There we
Yeah.
go. The truth comes out.
That's the secret.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna read out some of the comments on the chat. There are some interesting ones. So start with story painting. So he said, imagine doing a Gothic architecture building and replicating it a lot in space. Imagine how complicated that would be to do in a drawing. 3D is mostly to get perfect perspective, foreshortening, lighting, and to play with camera angles.
Yeah.
And then Planet This Fall says, don't be afraid to ask for more work in the way you like to do things. It makes business sense to give the fastest artist the assignment. Kay says, it depends though. Using 3D with concept art, you won't necessarily be modeling it properly with good topology. It's to get a structure there and then work there. It's to get a structure there and then work over it in 2D.
Yep. I mean, essentially everything is just a stepping stone. It's like a part of the process to get an end product. It doesn't really matter like what you use or how you do it. Nobody really cares. And yeah, whatever works for you.
And then there's one comment by Fitzfactor that's quite interesting. Don't you think function is often taken care of, so to speak? Design that follows form alone is too abstract to be understandable. Function is implied and not necessarily needed. For example, a form change on the hood of a car can imply some engine function underneath, but that's not necessary to think about in my opinion.
I do agree to a certain degree. I think as long as you can imply stuff from the real world, or kind of tie your viewer to believe that it's real with real world details or forms or shapes, then you don't really have to dig too deep into it. You don't have to like figure out an engine of a mech or whatever. Obviously, some people like to go deeper into it, some don't, which is fine.
Yeah.
But that's just my personal take.
I see. I think some functionality still has to be implied, right? Like, for example, if you're designing this mech feet right now, then you have to show where the joints articulate to show just how exactly it would move.
Oh yeah. I mean, you probably need like hinge here so you can move around. Yeah. It's, again, I think as long as you have a basic understanding of how things move. Let's say for hard surface stuff, if it's basic mechanics, then you're good to go.
Yeah.
How much did you have to... Oh, go on, Ken. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. I was gonna ask, have you looked at these origami designs for mechanical stuff or like space objects? They use origamis to fold mechanical parts so that they can fit into a smaller space. Have you looked into that?
Yes, I've seen some video about it. I also saw how like some dude or some woman, they invented like a riot shield that folds based on origami stuff, which is I think that's really cool. But then that's how you combine like a great idea. Like, origami is not necessarily direct. Origami is not necessarily related to, let's say, riot warfare or space stuff.
Yeah.
But then you kind of find it again, like you kind of find inspiration everywhere, in my opinion. You just have to really just look for it, see what you find.
Have you encountered then an inspiration where you've tried it out and say, you know what, this just doesn't work? Or do you actually believe that you can make any inspiration or reference image work?
So I personally believe you can do it, but just like with, I guess in art or with anything, you have some days where it just doesn't work. Like you draw something, everything you draw is ugly, you hate it, you wanna cry, you just wanna feed yourself with ice cream. You're like, where is it? You're like this dude here.
The cat.
Yeah. So sometimes it just doesn't work, and then sometimes it does work. But I don't know. I think you can really take anything and make it to something. Some things might take longer. Some things you might hit more walls to reach it, but it's possible.
I see. Those are very inspiring words, Sheng.
Big brain philosopher.
Big brain.
Gonna print that on a wall.
Please do. Give me 10%.
So what exactly were you sketching just now from this reference? Like what were you thinking?
Oh, you mean the feet?
Oh.
Yeah. So first of, I don't know if you guys recognize what it is.
It's a ship.
No, I mean this thing, like where it's from. It's the sewing machines. The sewing machines.
Yeah.
It's the bottom part, that where you put the needle in here, right?
That is cool.
So like
The part that like pulls up.
exactly,
And down.
where you put the needle in here or the thread. I'm not sure how it works. I think you put the thread in here and then the needle comes here. But
Yeah, well, whatever. We're not.
I'm not a sewing expert,
Maybe
but
someone in the chat can correct us.
but then essentially this is the whatever part you call it from the sewing machine. And if you take a look at it from a distance, to like if you observe it and see what it actually like just forms, essentially this is like a mech feed. It looks already like a feed.
I thought it was a Mac. Yeah.
But then there's a reason why we think
it looks like a ship to me.
it can be a
personally.
ship. I mean, that's totally up to you.
It looks like an advanced warship,
It could be. I mean,
like for the Black Hole faction. I forgot the guy.
yeah, the black hole.
Yeah, Black Hole.
Yeah.
Feels like it could be. Just add like a hull.
Yeah. So it's whatever you interpret. Because like if this was a shape, I would assume like, I don't know, time to draw a shitty shape. You have like the thing.
By the way, as we've discussed earlier as well, we would like to have some audience participation when it comes to this demo as well. So I think what would be cool is that out of all the sketches that you would have done so far, Sheng, it would be good to get a vote on which one the audience would like to see you move forward with onto a finished sketch. So we
Looks
can
like
do
a
that soon. Oh, that's
banana
awesome.
boat.
I mean, it could be like this. I don't know. But
Yeah,
that's kind of the
I like
point.
it.
It's like a starting point for discussion. That's the
Yeah.
whole point.
Especially when you bring other people into the conversation as well, because you really see how people see things differently.
One way to generate better ideas is you talk to friends or you talk to people. Discussion.
What
if you don't have
I
friends?
don't?
What if you
have
don't have friends? Well, then you just hang yourself. No, you don't. If you don't have friends, you can either talk to yourself, or you talk to your mom, or your dad, or your family, or your cat.
Can you talk to Joe?
No, I don't know. You probably have someone to talk to. Yeah.
I'm
What if
blessed
you
with
have
it.
none of those?
What if you have none of those? Split personality? You talk to yourself? Yeah. No, I think if you don't have any friends, then you really just, for example, you see what's popular out there. You know what's popular, and you don't do that, and you really just trust your gut. Whatever idea you have, just go for it and do it. Don't worry if people will like it or not, or what people will think about, because you're doing it for yourself.
Yeah.
Like really, you're just doing it for yourself. You're not doing it to please people. And again, no matter what happens, there's always people who will hate it and don't like it, and that's fine. So really, just trust yourself, trust in the process. Whatever feels right to you.
Yeah. Sound advice.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
And
I think we can number the sketches
Yes.
that you've already
Oh, I forgot the
can
numbers.
you just round up?
Damn.
Yeah.
the chat vote.
So chat, we would like you guys to vote on which sketch that Sheng should move.
I'm just gonna
forward
number
with.
it in Chinese so
the
nobody
finished
can
one.
tell what it is.
Kind of like the pen. And I would like to see what you do with it.
The which one?
So after Sheng finishes numbering them, we're gonna zoom out so you guys
Number
can have
The
4.
pen.
Yeah.
Oh, the pen
But no,
is gonna be a challenge.
we'll see what the chat says. Yeah.
Hey Vyuki, good to see you in the chat, man. And story
And,
painting, we'll get to
story
your
paint.
question later on.
On the Q&A
Yes,
session.
we're gonna have a Q&A session. I think we can just number the ones that you've already done a sketch for, Sheng.
Why you don't want?
Just so that we don't have too many options as well.
No. All right.
Alright, so cast your vote, guys. We're just gonna
All right.
open it up for a couple.
While you cast your votes, I need to take a big piss, so I'll be right back. Yes, I'm doing it.
Okay,
Be right back.
13 for sure, Lime Cola said. I'm learning a lot though from this demo session.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's very rare for me to do something like this, where I take random objects for shape exploration.
Yeah. I've definitely done it to a certain extent, but I tend to be quite dismissive of some references, which is why I asked Sheng if there's at any point he
Right.
says that the reference image doesn't work, because that's sometimes what I encounter. But to see Sheng managing to come up with something regardless of how out there the image is, I think makes me realize that it all comes
Damn,
down
boy.
to how
Back
we
here.
use it rather than the reference itself. Welcome back, dude.
Welcome back. Yeah, for sure.
Seems like
There's a lot of different
Well, we have
votes that we're having.
seems like everyone wants something different.
So there's a
Yeah.
and there's a question by Illusion. When you finish your sketches, next part refined, you will focus on function. So I guess when you finish these sketches and then the next part, which is the refining part, do you focus on implementing functions to
Yeah. So
Like,
generally the approach is you find something like overall silhouette, shapes, whatever. You find like a good composition, good proportions, whatever you like, and then you go into function, I guess. Just try to implement better details or rearrange certain mechanical things to make it look more believable. Like as long as you can imply, for example, that the arm, let's say mechanical arm, can rotate or not,
Yeah.
then you can do that.
Alright, so final votes, guys. Otherwise, we are going to cast our votes as well and just going to stick with what we have. It's beautiful, Sheng.
This is my best work yet.
So I have a question before we cast the vote. So for example, on reference number 5 with the weird people posing, would you be able, I guess you will be able, but how would you turn that kind of reference to, for example, something more mechanical, like a robot?
Okay.
Or
So
I don't know.
So we can, let's say for example, if we just analyze the reference really quick, it seems like there's number one, well, I'm not gonna write it, lazy for that. There's multiple people They are connected by a rope, and they have this like very distinctive long tongue shape. So you have like 4 heads, right? 4 people, rope, and the tongue, right? So what, like right now, what I'm thinking is maybe it's a mech or a conjunction of mechs that are bound together. So, man,
And have really long.
yeah, and they have really long tongues. Or maybe it's some sort of like, what I can see, if it's, for example, like a more darker fantasy theme, for example, it's like a pilgrim to a certain location, and they have to stick out their tongue, for example. I don't know. So you can just start with that.
Maybe they're tied to each other by their tongues.
That could be interesting. Or they're punished for whatever. I don't know. But essentially, that's how you start. It's kind of like identifying key ingredients. Once you identify like these, let's say, 3 key ingredients, you just start building on top of it. And it could be literally translated to anything. It can be
That's very good.
it can be like a prop as well, for example. It doesn't have to be a mech or a character design. It could be like, I don't know, some sort of prop that it's, again, bound by rope. It has 4 components. Those components, maybe because these guys are white, maybe these 4 components, they have to be covered by ash, you know, for whatever. Maybe it's like, I don't know, it's like a food preservation technique. So you have like your food, and then it hangs, you know, with rope, and the fruit is white itself because it's covered in ash, which I think they did historically to preserve food as well. So yeah, again, you can extract a lot of things.
So I guess sometimes what you're extracting from the reference is not the shape itself, but more like the idea that you get from the image.
It can be, again, it varies.
Like a visual
It just varies to different things what you're looking at. Some things are obviously, well, again, some things are more obvious than other things. Some things you have to dig deeper. Some things won't work, which is part of the process as well. Like if you take the pen caps, you know.
What?
So pen caps, one thing that's very obvious to me, it's pattern and material. So you have like really nice gold and silver, and then the black body, and can be a color palette for one of your designs. You can extract, let's say, the main body of the pen is probably gonna be black. You just don't see it. And or example, what I tried to do here unsuccessfully, but if I spend more time, I can get it right probably. Which is, let's say you have like an armor piece, you have like a shoulder plate or whatever, and it's like a royal shoulder plate, whatever, because these guys look very royal, and you literally just add those cut lines towards your plate. And maybe, you know, maybe they work. Okay, this could be cool, or I think it's cool. It's like a kingdom that's constantly under rain or water, and because of the engravings, the knights don't really get wet. So like when the water splashes down, just like how a pen functions, it guides the water drops down, for example. This is just again, just a really rough idea. You can always refine stuff later.
Let's see. How would you say, if someone wants to be able to see references in this kind of way, what are your tips for someone, for that person, to train this kind of observation?
I think first is you just distance yourself. You don't see, like in your mind you see this, you're like, okay, this is a pen cap, right? Or this is like, okay, I don't know how to describe this, forget about this one. But like, let's say this is a shoe, right? Or again to the pen. Just distance yourself, see what you actually see with your observing eye. So you can see patterns, you can see material, you can see shape, which is kind of like this stuff, right? Then what helps a lot of times is you just write stuff down, whatever comes to mind. So for the pen stuff, you have like ink fluid, writing, and then you build upon that. So it's kind of like a mind map, I guess. If that makes sense.
Yes.
Right.
That's a really great tip,
Yeah.
man.
But then, as you can see, like all of this is just really, really ugly. Again, this is the hidden process, I would say.
The ideas are strong, man.
I think it's arguably the more important part, because you can always make something nice looking by putting the time. But then, yeah, I say that, and then you see stuff that's super well rendered out but have zero design or ideas, and it does really well on our station. But that's always gonna be the case, I think.
Yeah.
Or you can see you have the shoulder plate and you just add like 2 titties again, and then like a nice thing. You can do that as well.
It looks like a pope now
Yeah, it's a very badly drawn pope.
with a big nose and chin.
Wow. So yeah,
All right. So based on the votes that we do have, though, it looks like 5 has won out.
No,
So-
4 and 5 have the same number of people
Cola
voting.
said I meant 5.
yeah, but then you have story painting saying 4.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that means there's only 1 4 and 2
So there's only 1 4.
Oh shit! All right,
5s. So I guess we're moving on with
5. Oof. All right.
Wait, what's your vote, Jordan? What's your vote?
after what Sheng told me about maybe like having 4 small mechs joined together and things like that. I think 5 would be really cool.
Oh, why you do this, man?
as well. Dude, you shouldn't
Yeah.
have revealed that
But-
idea. If you kept that
Nah.
like, head sketch, I would be like, okay, no, not
yeah, that.
Do you want to continue the sketch that you did previously with the guy that has a ring on the nose?
Oh, I already deleted that guy.
You wanna
I already deleted that guy,
Yeah.
but I can
Why not create a
I
mech
can-
design based off what you
I can
said?
build upon it. I mean, it's just that obviously if you want to have something nice, you need time on it. So I probably won't be able to finish it, but I can get started if you guys want.
Just the best that you can, man. It's just going to be interesting to see how you further
Yeah.
refine and make an idea more mature and resolved.
Yeah. I can do.
Okay.
Okay, thanks for the vote, guys. And let's see Sheng work his magic.
Yeah. Again, I might forget how to talk. I don't have enough brain cells to talk and draw at the same time. So
It's okay. You've got us to help out.
But you have big brain, man.
yeah, I paid big money for that. Like I don't know if you guys saw the recent years. There was some sort of like 24-year-old Chinese guy who got gifted like $3 billion by his parents
What?
or Chinese money.
Oh.
Pretty funny, and it's like, oh yeah,
And that boy's name is Sheng Lam.
I wish, man. Nah. All right.
And that boy's name was Albert Einstein. Sorry. Just had to slip it in there somewhere. Sheng, there's actually one thing that you mentioned earlier on in your design process, and something that I would like for you to elaborate on a bit more.
Sure.
There's something that you mentioned about proportions, where you mentioned that maybe keep something at 70% and another element at 30%.
Yeah.
And it seems to be something that you implement quite often. So I would love to have you demonstrate that to us as you're working this sketch.
All right. So, I mean, you can't see that much right now, probably, but essentially the main idea is you try to keep everything to 70 to 30%. It can be applied to cut lines, to shapes, to decals, to writing, to proportion, to whatever. So in this, like, I guess line block out, so you can see probably the head part is gonna be a big shape. Then you have big brain. Then you have the whatever this is gonna be. It can be an arm. It can be like, I don't know, like a drape that hangs down. For example, Even within this shape inside, you can break it up further to 70-30. So what you can do is like, let's say you break it around here, and then this part will be red, and then this part will be white. So then you have like a nice 70-30 ratio.
So having a red tip and white.
Just the
body.
tip, yeah. For example, if you have like the head shape, right? So you have, how do we break it up to 70-30%? Maybe there's like a cut line that goes around like this. So you have like 70 at the back and then 30. And then within this 30%, you can break it down further to 70-30, where let's say you have just like this small pocket at the bottom. Maybe that's like the 30%, and then you have the actual 70 and then the 30 or 10% or whatever.
You know, sometimes I wonder how we can design while thinking about these things, because it seems like it's so much things to consider.
Which is why it goes back to like, you block things out and then you fine tune it. Like you can always go back and revert it and fine tune it.
So I guess in a way you're making it simpler for yourself by focusing on only one aspect during each phase of design, right? Rather than everything at once.
Yeah. This stage in general is just very loose. It's kind of like gesture drawing where you try to get something interesting going on. Nope, don't like it.
What are you thinking of making?
Maybe like a robot or something. I'm trying to think rather than, I guess for time purpose. So rather than having form X conjoined or bound by a rope, maybe there's some sort of interesting way to incorporate it to the arm, or some sort of like decoration. Like I really don't know. A lot of the process is just uncertainty, total uncertainty, and it's always gonna be really, really ugly. It's never gonna be there to what you actually want it to be. So yeah, actually don't like this.
So at what point have you just embraced that?
Embrace what?
Embrace the idea that things will never be as good as how it looks in your head.
I
And
think
just going along with what your design is shaping up to be.
I think to last 3 years or something like that. Because I used to get like, I still do, but I used to get really frustrated, because then no matter what you do, it's not gonna hit the mark inside your thing, inside your drawing. Oh, this looks retarded. Damn, look at that. So yeah. Nope.
I actually like
Really?
it personally.
I mean, what could it be? I was thinking like these might like be 4 different arms, and then you have like main body here.
You know,
And then you have like,
it could be like a drone
or
something. I mean, it looked like a drone to me before.
It could be something that floats in the air, and then maybe it's like it. You know, in shopping districts, sometimes they have lampposts and banners hanging down. Maybe it's like an advertising button.
I mean, it could be, because nobody does civilian stuff. Everything's
You did mention that as well. Is that how civilian stuff is more challenging too than, for example, designing something military?
I think civilian stuff is incredibly underrated, because everyone wants to do cool tanks or cool like chick with guns and I don't know, helicopters and all of that stuff. Whereas there's so much interesting stuff outside of it, like ambulance, I don't know, police, road construction. So in general, I do think like civilian stuff is way underrepresented, and at the same time, I do like it because you stand out more easy. Because everyone does. Sorry, I'm generalizing, but everyone does tits, ass illustration. Not everyone. All right, a lot of people. Very, very few people do props. I think even fewer is the creature people, like creature design. You don't actually know that many.
rare.
Yeah. But then those people that you know, because there's so few, you totally remember them.
For sure, man.
Oh, and if if you guys have any ideas that you want to add to the discussion or to the sketch, feel free to post that in the chat as well.
Just reading a few comments too. Vyuki is saying chick and gun is always nice. Wahaha.
I mean, it's nice to look at, but
for sure,
there's nothing like create. I guess for the most part, there's nothing creative about it. Yes, I'm bashing everyone just now, and everyone's gonna hate
maybe
me.
you can apply the 70-30 rule. Maybe the boobs can be like
One is 30, one is 70.
One is 70.
Yeah, one nipple is taking up 70% of the boob, and one is 30%.
Yeah, it's like you vary the size of the areola.
And
Got gorilla arms now.
I would like you to talk through the thought process of these decision making, but I'll just read out a few quick comments from the chat as well. So Karta says, "Ooh, I thought I'd missed this stream. Just got home from CSF. Now preparing myself to make my surface hard."
Yeah, want me to help you? Only $10. I'm very cheap.
That's a rip-off, dude.
Yeah, but happy end, bro. Yeah, it's a struggle, I think. Trying to like right now, I'm really struggling trying to make it look or make it, I guess, make it work. Probably need a lot more time, but maybe these like 4 red tongue things are just the arms.
Nice.
Could be, and then you have to still represent, like kind of covering the face and part of it. You still have it in the middle of the body.
Yeah.
So if you have arms here, and then you have like, I guess the decorative ropes like around here, and then from then on it's just keep building it.
This could be really cool if you merge the technical bits, like the mech bits, with maybe like ceremonial stuff.
So
Maybe it's just like bells
or like
whatever.
maybe if it's maybe rather than so thin, it just covers more. So it's like kind of thicker. But now the issue is now it's kind of competing with the thickness of the arms. So
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
because now that you tried it out, you're like, all right, doesn't work. Not really sure. So knowing that, you can go back and just readjust. Or I don't know.
Yeah. So let's just say you were doing this for an Inktober sketch, and I think we all know from trying it out ourselves that there comes a point where we have to say we have to move on with the sketch and not to spend too much time on it. So how would, if you were doing this for a sketch a day, how would you arrive at an idea and just go forward with it? At what point do you say, I'm just gonna move forward with this and enough noodling?
I think if as soon as I hit the point where it's very clear what I want and that you can recognize bigger shapes, then yes. But from personal experience, using this workflow where I just block it out in lines and I just try around a lot of things, this particular stage can take up to an hour. But then the way I like to think is like, if you spend an hour on it, then by the end of it, all you need to do is just make it look nice because everything's mostly there and figured out. You don't really have to like reproportion stuff. Yeah, so like if you see right now, for example, now there's like a multitude of issues. The first one is this head thing in front is the same length as the arms, but also the way the whole thing is broken down, you have like a pretty much almost like a 50-50 proportion between the legs and the arms. So all right, this is the self-reflection time. You're like, okay, shit, need to change it. So you change it.
So either shorter arms or longer
Yeah,
arms.
but I still like the idea of like longer arms. Maybe it's like super chibi. See, like very, very small legs, very big arms.
Maybe he's just purely walking on his arms, but then his legs are dangling.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
Like a spider.
But now it's like, all right, arms are kind of just a rectangle. That's not interesting, right? It's kind of boring. So you can go back again, change the arms, maybe to something more interesting. Maybe they're like, I don't know. If it's really walking on its arms, you can just like change it up a little bit. So it's more of an organic process, I guess. There's nothing. There's nothing really where you're, all right, I know what I need to do. I know exactly what I'm doing. There's nothing like that. And then like chase like maybe this.
And this is more of how you approach your personal work.
This is one of the ways on how I like to do it. And it's like, all right, at this point, I fucking hate it. Looks like shit. Don't like it. So
what are you gonna do?
very easy. Just delete it
I see.
and start from anew. So
Do you actually feel that it's worth sometimes keeping older, shittier sketches because you at least know that something doesn't work and you have a reminder of that?
no, I don't usually do that because I already know that I did it and I tried it out. So if I happen to autopilot and do the same thing again, I just catch myself and delete it.
I see. It's interesting because my philosophy is different, is that keep your shitty sketches just because you want to remind yourself of what you've already tried, and so you can have a visible timeline of how your design has evolved.
I mean, yeah, you can. But
Yeah, it's just my personal
yeah,
opinion,
for
so
sure.
I'm just
I mean,
saying.
there's nothing wrong with it. So here you have a bust. Maybe you see you have like the rope element. Maybe there's like mechanical. I don't know. Maybe the arms are just suspended to a certain point.
Yeah.
So some comments from Carla. I think it'd be interesting if you add 2 really short legs. Make it a midget with long hands.
Dude, midgets are underrated. Nobody does midget concept art. except like Borderlands and
Exactly.
Rage. But then it's like, man, midgets would be fun.
Maybe you should move into
And
that.
there's there's a question from Vanity's Fall. Do we want to keep it for the Q&A session, Jordan?
I think let's read it out. I think it would be good
Okay.
to cover it. Are you gonna
So
do
the
it or
question
am I
from
gonna do it?
Vanity's. Yeah, I was gonna
Okay.
say it. So the question from Vanity's Fall is that can one practice seeing the unusual in the ordinary? I think we kind of briefly discussed it just now, but I think you can probably try to elaborate a bit more.
What?
Can one practice seeing the unusual in the ordinary?
Yeah.
Ordinary.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. You just should I go through with this one or
Yeah,
all right. Cool.
Sure.
just so that there's direct context.
So
Yeah.
there is always a difference between the observing eye and the whatever other eye you call it. Like you see what your mind thinks it sees, and then you see what you actually see. Like this is some high IQ philosophy shit. But essentially,
Oh yeah, my kind of
yeah.
thing.
But essentially, you can just slowly break it down. So first, what do you see? You see 4 people. Then you see that they have a very long red tongue. Worst
It
handwriting.
looks like they're eating like really long slices of like
Could be
meat
beef
for-
jerky, could be something. They're all connected to by a rope, so it seems like connection plays a role in it. And also, they seem to be covered in like ash or some sort of powder. Could be whatever. So what you're doing is, for example, let's say you go to a restaurant and you eat a random dish. You have your meal in front of you. You eat it, and then you try to figure out the ingredients, right? So we're just listing the ingredients that this picture has. So again, 4 people, red tone, connected. They're all emphasizing their, like, whatever that is with the hands. So I'm just gonna write down hands. Write everything down.
Jazz hands.
Like, really just write everything down that
So
comes to your mind.
so you're basically distilling the ideas that make up that image.
You're just really observing for what they
So-
are and observing. Well, no, I just said observing twice. Yeah, you do that. You just observe and write it down. Or you can make a
I
mental
think
note.
in a way it's like figuring out what you like about it.
Yes,
Right?
and-
the individual components.
Okay.
Right.
Connection / rope. So yeah. So now that you have, like, let's say the key ingredients, then you can keep building upon it. So because it's connected by a rope and connection, you can start fleshing out ideas for whatever you have to do, whatever comes to mind, whether it's a prop, an environment, a mech character, doesn't matter. So we have 4 people. Character design, maybe it's like a 4-way conjoined twins or twin midgets. I don't know. So that could be interesting. I don't think I've seen like 4 conjoined twins. You only see 2.
For conjoined
Yeah,
midgets.
4 conjoined midget twins. Sorry.
Oh,
So
gosh.
that could be interesting. And maybe because you see how like the red is such a strong color accent. So maybe because they're such a rare case, they are like the people from the village or whatever, they celebrate them as a deity or some sort of like prophecy of God, whatever. Or
Yeah.
like that kind of stuff. So yeah, again, there's maybe even the way you see how like the rope goes into their mouth, or like they're holding the rope with their mouths and the thing comes out. So maybe it's like a culture of people that whenever the ceremony comes out, whatever ceremony they do, that's their traditional way of dressing, where they hold a robe with a banner and they hold it through their mouths, and they're all covered in like white ash. And so that's how you extract color palette, ideas, shapes, and then once you figure that out, for example, the ceremony, then you do the work, you actually concept that stuff out, and then you're like,
Yeah.
oh, this is an interesting world, how can I build it further? And then you expand on it, rather than in your brain you already have an idea of an empire with this culture with so many different things that do this and that. Because I don't know how many countless of times you guys probably had as well as me, where you come up with great idea, you already have in your head planned out like 10 pieces for portfolio, and it's about this civilization that does this and that, and you already have everything planned out, and sometimes you don't even start on it and you give up midway through, or sometimes you just do one piece and get totally discouraged and you don't want to do it anymore. So I found it more useful rather than that approach. You just start small, you start with one thing, and then if that thing turns out okay or better than you expected, or you still like it, then you build upon it and do the next thing, rather than getting
So letting it take a life of its own.
rather than getting carried away and already putting mountains of expectations in your head that you're gonna do 15 pieces for this project.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
With my current project.
I mean, that's kind of what worked for me, but yeah, I mean, okay, now I got carried
I
away.
agree though. It's good to start small. But yeah, hopefully that
What the
answers
fuck?
your question, Vanity's fault. So I think now would
I
be.
think
a good
it's like
time-
what sorry. I think it's like what George R.R. Martin said. Like there are 2 types of writers: the one that lets the story develop by itself, like the story and the character develop by itself, and the ones that plan everything to the T.
Yeah. I'm trying to embrace the former myself. But by nature, I think I'm more the other guy, the second guy. So it's always interesting to hear someone that's an artist like Sheng with different philosophies or approaches to their art. I have a lot to learn from.
For sure.
And I think now would also be a good time to move on to the Q&A session, so we can actually answer the one that was written a while back.
By Story Painting.
Yes.
And the question is, do you guys have any advice on getting into the game industry? I do mostly environments. I've been building my portfolio and sending it out, but I don't get any response.
Environments. What? Sorry, you cut off. So
Yeah, I think I'll read it out then.
Oh, sure.
Do you
Yeah,
guys
go ahead.
have any advice on getting into the game industry? I do mostly environments, and I've been building my portfolio and sending it out, but I don't get any response.
I assume for concept art.
Yes.
Yeah.
So maybe you can share
Let's
your
assume
experience,
so.
Sheng, on, for example, how you catered your portfolio to get into CIG.
Yeah, I didn't.
Or if you have anything else, of course.
I didn't. I just did my own thing. I was stubborn about it. But yeah, there's certain things that you can do. One is have an online presence, obviously. I think in generally likes and all of that don't matter, but social media doesn't matter in terms of getting your stuff out there. And if you can, attending events and socializing with people is very, very recommended. Other than that, yeah, and that there is probably a reason why people, like, let's say companies, don't contact or don't reply back, which has probably to do with the work itself. So either you're not fitting to that company. So for example, you have a portfolio with fantasy environments, but you're applying to, I don't know, a company that does mostly sci-fi stuff. That could be a case. Other cases is sometimes it takes time for the companies to reply back, or sometimes it's just you're not at the level yet where companies actually want you to be, or they're not interested. Another thing that happens a lot of times is if you can, try to find out Facebook email address of the art director itself from the project. Just do your research on the company that you want to work for. Find their email, personal email, Facebook, or whatever ways to get their contact information, and then write to them directly. Because a lot of times, if it's especially for bigger companies, if you send your portfolio, then it goes through HR, goes through the HR department, and it just, like HR people don't necessarily know what is required for the concept art position. So if there's a way to avoid it, then I would definitely try to. Because HR people don't really know most of the time. So that's one way. And yeah, just keep trying. Do your own thing again. And always be very aware where you stand, I think. Because one way to get the cheapest and easiest reality check, if let's say you're good from the industry, like good enough on a level, is you just go on ArtStation and you just see what's popular, and you really compare, not on a personal level, but on a very objective level. Does the staff, like your work, does it hold up to other people's work? So let's say you want to do environments, right? Cool. You know exactly what you want to do. You search up your really good favorite environment artists, concept artists, and you just compare your stuff, like if it's there in terms of quality, lighting, composition, and all that. And just be really honest with yourself. It's something very hard and something very painful to admit, because art is super personal. But if you can make that step, then I think you have a clearer goal and easier time to know where you stand. If that makes sense.
And yeah, and I think if I may add to that as well, if you want to be a concept artist, you have to put the concept work into your portfolio as well. You're not an illustrator or an artist actually, but you're the guy who has to sell ideas and solve problems in the production. So your portfolio also has to be able to reflect that kind of design thinking. So, for example, the stuff that Sheng is doing with coming up with unique designs and then making a solution out of the abstract ideas that he has. You have to be able to show that kind of design thinking as well if you want to be a concept artist. So maybe your portfolio doesn't really show that kind of design thinking, and that could be also why you're not getting responses from the studio that you want.
I think it can be insanely discouraging because, it's very nerve-wracking. You
Yeah.
sending out a lot of applications, and then, come on, man, at least you can just reply and say no. But a lot of people just say it, like they don't even bother, and it's a very big. It's like a feels bad, man. Kind of feels like this, So you're like, come on, what the fuck, man? Like, don't be like this, right? But I think you just need to remind yourself, like, all right, just keep grinding. I really do believe as long as you put in the work, you get there. Some people take faster, some people are slower, but you're putting worth the effort, and you'll get there.
Yeah.
So don't get too discouraged. Also, another thing that it's very easy to forget is, let's say when you're comparing your own stuff with ultra famous artists who are insanely good, like you compare it and then you forget how much time they actually spend honing their skills to get where they are. Whereas, for example, in your case or anybody's case, like they've only started out like a year ago, and obviously like the stuff that they compare themselves with, let's say to Eitan Zana or all these famous artists, it's like you can't really forget that they already had, I don't know, 6, 7, 5 years more experience and failures than you.
And probably their own struggles as well,
Yeah.
which are maybe very similar to what you're going
Yeah, but then you don't see online struggles.
Yeah.
You only show like,
I think a really good quote.
Yeah,
sorry,
go on.
I was gonna say one really good quote that I think would be pertinent to this discussion is that don't compare your own beginning to someone else's end.
yeah, which is so easy to do, obviously, because it's right in front of your face.
Yeah.
But it's it's hard. Everyone knows.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a constant struggle.
And which is why we really appreciate you showing us this kind of process and showing how you failed as well. I think it's really important to
Well, this is just like
expose.
this is just my personal approach. It might not necessarily work for you because chances are you guys probably saw a lot of tutorials where they tried to explain the workflow and you tried it out and didn't really work out for a multitude of reasons. And most likely it's because it's a different workflow and it was your first or second time trying it out. So obviously it's not gonna look like the tutorial. And then you get discouraged and you're like, fuck this, fuck that, don't wanna do it. Art is retarded, gonna go play games. I hate my life, Be like the cat. Wait, I have another one. Be like this guy. Be a sad cat, So yeah.
And Carla also commented that cat is me 24/7.
The what?
Ken, what were you saying?
No, Car. I was gonna say, do you have a folder of
Yes, I do.
cats, like theme
Yes.
cats?
You know what? Instead of asking Sheng about what brushes he uses, you should ask him to share his folder of cat images.
I mean, I only save like retarded looking cats because I think they're really funny. But
So
yeah,
good.
this is
Reminds me of the illustrations that people have done of these cats that have been shared online. Sorry about that, guys. Let me get that quickly.
so yeah. If you need motivation, just have a picture of your cat next to your canvas. It's like your spirit animal. It's gonna help you through. But yeah, so this stage is kind of all right. I kind of know what I want. You have like longer arms, legs spread out, mane, scarf or whatever, and a torso. So it's kind of recognizable. Now is the time to just zoom in, put some music, watch some anime in the background. Yeah, whatever you want to have. 50 Shades of Grey, Audible, by the way, get 10% off if you sign up now. And then you just start working away on it, and just remember it's not gonna turn out great on your first 3 hours or 4 hours or however long it's gonna take. It's mostly like one of my good teachers said something very important that stuck to me to this day, which is like 70 or 80% of your painting or whatever you're working on, it's not gonna look good. It's gonna look like absolute garbage, like a steaming pile of shit. But then it's only in the last 20 to 30% when you add like the last final tweaks, details, color dodge, whatever it is, it's where it all comes together, and it starts to look good. So rather than expecting and just thinking about the future artwork or the end result, just start small. Start with the things that are right in front of your canvas and keep tweaking them without worrying about the future. Because you spend a lot of energy just thinking about it, you know. You spend a lot of energy just thinking like, I want to get this done in this way and that way. But instead you can just be like, all right, I need to fix this arm, and this arm is in a very bad perspective and my lines are shit, so I'm just gonna slowly work away at it and keep building upon it.
I think what your teacher really meant was to add color.
Fuck, sorry. Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot.
Was your teacher Rothschild?
No. It was Lam.
Oh, I see.
No, it wasn't. But for example, it's like, okay, so let's say for example I finished this image, right? Only 10 likes, right? But then let me add some boobies. 1 million likes guaranteed. So if that's what you're all about, then yeah, by all means, there's always a place for that. You can do it.
I'm not sure, man. I think that 10 likes is gonna dip down to like -1.
That's fine. Haters gonna hate, right?
Robot with boobs.
All right. Well, I think we are nearing the end of the podcast because it's almost been 2 hours. Would you believe it or not?
Yes.
Oh, there's
a
one
last minute question.
You know what? Let's answer this one question. And what we're gonna do, Sheng, after this is go on to artwork of the week and finishing it off with a quickfire session.
Okay.
All right, so I'll read the question out. So question, hi Sheng, Ken and Jordan. I really like to do props designs or the kind of design like yours, Sheng. Your art has inspired me so much. I'm currently doing background art for a local studio. May I have some kind of advice on how to start or improve on this prop journey? Can you also recommend some of the artists I can learn from? Thanks and have a great day.
Prop journey.
You can read.
So
you can read the chat.
You wanna do props?
If you.
Propage. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Easiest advice, just fucking do it. Second easiest advice, you wanna know how to be good, just don't be bad. Easy.
Fantastic.
Done. Question answered. No. Props. Well, I think the easiest way, if you don't know where to start, is to look up artists, like successful artists that you really like the work that specialize in props. You see what they do, how they do it, what type of props they do, and then you riff off their work and then slowly start studying and creating your own stuff. So let's say good prop artists. Let me have my well, I mean, I can name
Let me open up my own art
I can
station.
name names. So instantly, one guy that stands out is a dude called Oscar Cafaro.
Oh, dude, I love that guy so much.
So
I've been looking at his stuff so
Oscar,
much.
damn, if you can wait,
We can look it
Cafaro.
up and we'll post it in
Yeah,
the chat.
Oscar Cafaro. So if you see at his work, he generally just specializes in props. All of his stuff is very high production value because he has orthographics, he has very believable details, and it's very easy and helpful down the production line. So if you don't know where to start, again, search our artists that you like, do some research. For learning purposes, I really don't think it hurts to just literally copy them, see what they do, get your muscle memory going, study their shapes, and then you start working on your own stuff. So let's say you really like how Oscar does, I don't know, a satellite, like the satellite for Overwatch that he did. If you click on his portfolio, super cool. And you studied his shape, you ripped it off 100% 1-to-1, and now it's time for you to do your own. And the real challenge though is when you make your own, try to not make it look like his as best as possible,
Yeah.
because then you slowly
Even
develop your
after
own
making
taste,
an effort to.
if that makes sense. Like try to add your own ingredients, your own salt, you know,
Yeah.
and make it your own. And then slowly you like just build up stuff, must again design sense for props and all that. I don't know if that answered the question, but yeah, essentially rip people
I
off,
see.
rip their artwork for yourself, build upon it, and then try to make your own as close, and not as closely as what's the name, as distant as possible, as different as possible from theirs. Like that would be the challenge.
Mm.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you for answering that, Sheng.
Yeah, hope that answers the question. So let's move on to art of the week then.
Move on to what?
So Sheng,
Oh, yes. Let's move
Art
on
of
to
the
the
week.
artwork of the week
So-
segment. So it's a segment of the podcast where we share artwork that has left an impression of us or have really
in this
impressed
case,
us.
it's just Sheng.
Yeah. So if you can open up
So
the... Yes.
This guy? Yeah, artwork of the week.
Yes.
Wait, no, this is the wrong layer.
It's artwork of the lifetime.
Hold up, hold my beer. There it is.
hold up a minute. If you can just tell us a little bit of why you like this
I mean, look at it. Don't you feel good? Doesn't it get you going looking at these juicy lines and AO and shading? I mean, for me, it's just, man, hard surface going hard, 100%. But on a more serious note, I think it's the simplicity of the lines, the way he used shape, because it's kind of very shape based and so simple. And then it's not like he puts random details all over. To me, it feels more controlled and deliberate, because you can over detail anything, but in his case, it's like this is just a silhouette. Like the plants are just a silhouette. The folds is just like 2 lines or whatever. Then you have like very simple AO, and I assume these are like like books or whatever. He didn't even bother to just draw the other lines down there. He just left it open, which I think is very artistic. Same with like the way he draws the plants, very stylized. But for example, didn't even bother to draw the whole plant pot. He just left it there. So yeah, I think this is probably one of the juiciest line work I've seen. And I have a line fetish, so yeah, shout out to this guy. Please contact me, by the way. Teach me how to do it. if he is ever watching it. Yeah, man. That's it. That's
Are you
I just
looking
put
at
a
these
link.
kinds of artwork recently?
sorry.
Are you looking at more of these kinds of artwork for inspiration recently?
Yes and no. I think when I see stuff like this, it makes you want to draw. And then classic big brain process is like you try to do it and replicate it and it doesn't turn out this way. And then you hate yourself. You're like the cat again. That happens. But it's fine. Like I still learn from copying others' artists' work. Because it's always very interesting to
Awesome.
see how people solve problems.
Yeah.
You know, copying other people's work is, in my opinion, one of the fastest way to learn something.
Oh yeah, it is.
But I think the caveat to that though is that you have to do it mindfully, because copying without really thinking about what you're copying and the decisions that the
Yes.
artist is making, it's no point. You're just a photocopy machine. I think it's when you start to get into their mindset and think about, why did I place this shadow here? Why am I choosing to omit this certain line?
Yeah, it's also don't
Things like
don't
that.
copy it and then change 10% and then post it online and tag it as yours. Like it's very obvious where you got it from.
No.
Just do it for yourself, copy and then never post it. Doesn't matter. You learn. It's like a learning exercise. And then rather than just staying at it, is ask yourself, how can you do it better? How can you build up upon it?
Yeah.
And then slowly that way you can just slowly develop your own visual library and your own stuff.
Definitely. Pick and mix.
Yeah. And
Fantastic.
yeah, I mean that's about it. Again,
So let's move on to the
Right.
final segment of the podcast, which is the quickfire session. So Sheng, your job is to answer these questions as fast as you can without overthinking it.
okay.
Alright, Ken, would you like to start things off?
Let's alternate, Jordan.
Okay.
So I'll start with the first question for you, Sheng. What's your favorite anime?
Fuck. Let's say just guns. I say guns for
Guns.
now.
Okay.
Second question, favorite game of all time?
Golden Sun.
Oh yes, someone else that knows it. That's awesome, dude.
Interesting.
Alright, next question.
Okay. Would you rather give up bathing for a month or give up internet for a month?
Dude, bathing. No internet, no life. What am I supposed to do? Go out and socialize? Fuck no. Where's my anime? Where's my manga?
That's very true. Alright, 4. Favorite piece of technology?
Like what? Technology? Like what? Like gadget, hardware,
Your
software.
yeah, gadget.
Anything.
Hentai VR.
Nice.
Favorite artist or designer
now?
of all time?
Of all
Yeah.
time.
Paul Crutchley.
Right now.
Okay.
Who?
Paul Crutchley.
Al
Al
Crutchley.
Crutchley.
Alright,
I
next
don't know how
question.
to
Favorite
spell,
food?
but whatever.
Favorite food. What's the name? Mapo tofu.
Good
Mapo
job.
tofu. Okay. The next question. Would you rather not have... Wait, this is the same question. I'll skip it. Okay. If you're not an artist, what would your dream career be?
Dream career.
My dream career. Professional food
Yes.
taster.
Yeah.
Ah,
Professional.
man.
A
Okay,
foodie
next
as
one.
well. Wow.
Favorite country you've been to?
Japan. Should have said Somalia.
Then the
Damn it.
last one. So, alright, last one. Would you rather eat 100 sushi-sized steak or one steak-sized sushi?
100 sushi sized steak, because then if it's Wagyu beef, for example, you get 100 bites out of it. So you can slowly enjoy the moment.
That's a good thought.
Awesome.
But if the sushi is technically filled with like really high quality sashimi, you're just getting a really big sashimi platter.
Yeah, but then that's in like one go, right? You can't just spread it out.
well, no, you can. It's not to say you have to eat it in one go.
Nah,
Anyways,
I like food.
It's not
That's
about
it.
me.
I like food. That's it. That's all there is.
We're getting into a heated discussion.
Yeah. This is like the most heated part of the whole podcast.
Alright.
Alright, so
with
we are
that-
finally at the end
with
of
that
the
question,
episode.
that's the end of the
Yeah.
episode.
Would you believe it, man? It's already been 2 hours.
Yeah, get me out.
Alright, so
Getting
we
you
just
out soon.
very soon. Just hang in there, man. So we just like to thank you once again, Sheng, for going on the podcast and sharing your knowledge. And I personally learned a lot from it, man. I'm eager to
Likewise.
Man, I feel like
get into it and learn and apply it myself.
I feel like all I did was talk shit and not show anything. But I mean, if you guys got something out of it, that's good.
Yeah. Well, we'd like to have you back sometime to talk even more shit.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, for sure.
It's been a pleasure.
Again, yeah, no, that's good. Good to know.
So yeah, we're going to be showing links to Sheng's social media profile as well. So if you haven't been following him already, please do so on ArtStation, Instagram, and Facebook to see more of his amazing work and to stay up to
Don't
date
listen
on
to
what
them.
he's been up
Don't
to.
follow me. It's just
And if you find
it's just communist propaganda.
or there's still a little bit more propaganda, so hang in there. If you find this episode helpful or entertaining to you, please share it with someone else that you think would find it the same way as well. And follow the Drawing Table Podcast on Instagram, Facebook for updates on upcoming content, on YouTube to watch our previous episodes and future uploads, and of course, follow us on Twitch to get live updates on future streams. And we have a Facebook group for our community as well, which you can join through the link in the chat that Ken will be pasting.
I have a question for you guys.
Yeah, sure.
So we're nearing the end of October, right? Spooktober.
Yes.
And you guys know next month is November.
Yeah.
No, not November. Yes or no?
Yeah, it is.
No?
November.
Damn.
Ideal.
But then you know, no, not November is
Dude.
followed by
Yeah.
Destroy Dick December.
What?
So if you invest, you get to destroy your dick every December.
You know, I think Jordan and I are exempt.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, sure, that works. But
Every month is a
Oh,
month to
okay.
destroy dick.
yeah, I relate.
Sorry, dude.
Understandable.
It's the privileges of having a wife.
Damn. Oh, now we're going this way. All right, now we're getting carried
You're
away.
not supposed to say that.
Yeah. And I think the chat.
That's really.
Nah, that was my question. Totally retarded, but don't mind me. Just keep in mind.
I think a lot of people are really excited
Really.
in the chat.
I mean,
Yeah.
think about it.
yeah,
You guys
I think-
don't know, like, there's the whole no/nofab subreddit where apparently if you don't fab, you become a millionaire overnight. You become successful and you have big stonks. But think of the benefits, man.
Well, let me know how that goes for you,
Nah,
man, and
I'm
we'll
not
see.
gonna do it. Hell no. But yeah, that was just off tangent.
All right, dude. And I think that'll be a good note, I suppose, to end the podcast on. So yeah, thanks again, guys, for tuning in, and we'll see you again on the next drawing table.
See ya.
Alright,
Thanks for
see you
coming.
guys.
Take care, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Jam. Bye bye.